So I have a bit of a mess to clean, and I invited you to come watch me clean it and talk a little cockamamie. You know what I mean? Let me show you the mess. So let's start right here because this is like my favorite part. Don't mind that there's no lights. Don't mind the birthday balloon. But I'm doing laundry. That's why I have this set out. I have to tackle all these things, but I can't promise that it's going to get all tackled. So look at the mess that I have. And yes, if any of y'all have been here before, you would know that I officially got rid of one toy. I got rid of the toy because, honey, it was growing mold in it because my 3-year-old decides to stuff things in there that she shouldn't, and yeah, so I had to throw it away. Yeah, so this is the mess that I'm working with, and let's see what we can do because I really don't feel like doing it, and let me shut up. So I don't know if I want to clean and tell the story because then I have to put headphones on, and then you can't hear me cleaning. So let me just put the headphones on so that you can hear the story at least, and you can watch me clean. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Jennifer. I call myself the married single mom. So hi. So yeah, I'm gonna be cleaning up this freaking mess. Even though that was so freaking corny. You're not gonna be able to see me at all the angles because my house is shitty. So let me do what I can. I'm just gonna put everything in the middle for now. I'm just gonna pick everything up. Put it in the middle. So the story that I wanted to tell you tonight, as I'm picking up a mess, I'm gonna share a little story with you about my estranged husband that I have. So, um, I met him when I was like 15, maybe 16 years old, and I met him over the phone actually, if I do remember. I met him over the phone and we spoke for like 10 minutes. He used to live in Staten Island, and I lived in Brooklyn. So we chatted for like 5 minutes and then never spoke or saw each other ever again. Then, as time went on, right, he did his life, I was doing my life and whatnot. I never thought about it much, to be honest with you, because at that time he had a girlfriend at the time. So I remember seeing him on Facebook with her and stuff like that. Yeah, so he ended up in jail, okay, for a couple years. But this was on and off. He was in jail for a couple years, selling things that he wasn't supposed to sell. Anyways, make the long story longer. Um, we ended up reconnecting after he came out of jail because it was a mutual friend who I knew at the time that I no longer speak to. That she's another one who'll be on my page being nosy, but I blocked her. So God only knows what other profile she's gonna make to see my shit. But if you're on here, say hi. Uh, so we reunited again, and he was telling me all the sad stories, and I was single for like 4 years at the time. Like I was like, when you're single for a while, you start feeling like you're ready for a relationship, but honey, then when you get the relationship, it's a fucking rude awakening. That's how it was. So, um, I started talking. I was living with a girl at the time. I was living with two roommates, and they were being bitches with me. I was being overcharged. Um, they was always against me and all this stuff. So it was like it was always a battle. They always argued about my daughter. Meanwhile, I was paying like half of the rent at the time. I was working. I was doing whatever I could to help out, and they didn't feel like it was good enough. So yeah, let me tell you, that shit wasn't working out because that was crazy what I went through and I dealt with that shit for like a good couple years. It was really insane, and I would always try to ignore it, but it got to the point where I'm just like, listen, I'd rather deal with a man and deal with his bull crap before I have to deal with two women always ganging up against me for pretty much everything and anything. It was insane. It was crazy. So as time went on, right, I ended up saying, you know what, I'm not going back there, and then the rumor going around at the time was that, oh, that these two are not gonna be able to keep this apartment unless it wasn't for you. So anyways, long story longer, they ended up losing the apartment. I don't know for what reason or whatever, and then they ended up leaving. So I ended up staying with him. Meanwhile, he was the girl I was living with. He was her best friend. But like I said, I knew of him and whatnot. So I decided to give him a chance and whatever. And let me tell you, he seemed like the most greatest thing in the history. Being that I was single for 4 years, I thought I knew what I wanted and I thought I could deal with it. That's the thing. I thought I could deal with it. Everything was all good in the beginning. We were doing great. Everything was awesome. I didn't have no complaints. He was with me every single day. Oh, I would support whatever you want to do and blah, blah. I was the one working at the time. He wasn't. You know what I mean? So I thought it was great. So I don't know where I'm going with this because I just feel like I'm keep going on and on and on. But it started getting bad. I started like, what the hell's going on? Attitude doing a 360. This was as soon as we got into an apartment together. Because we were staying in a hotel at first because we didn't have anywhere to go. Mind you, like I said, I was the only one working at the time. And it was good until it went bad. And he cleaned the floor for me one time. Oh my God. Let me tell you, the way he cleaned the floor, any woman would have a heart attack because he dead ass used literally the whole fucking bottle of every detergent cleaner that I even had in the cabinet. And let me tell you, as soon as I moved in, everything went bad. Like as soon as we moved in together, everything went bad. The laziness started appearing, and like he wasn't trying to look for work anymore. Like he just felt like because we were living in a shelter or we was in a hotel, he felt like he couldn't get a job yet because he didn't have nowhere stable from what he said to live. Meanwhile, being in a shelter is stable, stabler than a fucking hotel room. But anyways, I'm not gonna argue that. And his narcissisticness just started coming out to where you know he wanted to go hang out with his son at his baby mom's house while I was in the shelter. Then I got pregnant. Then everything went downhill from there. He stopped cleaning. He was just on a video game. he just like completely fell off. And then I stopped having the big sex scenario at one point because I was getting sick of it. I was getting sick of all the nonsense I was going through. I was pregnant, working, cleaning, doing everything, and I felt like I wasn't getting any help. So I started getting upset, and I started not even wanting to bother to do that, because I'm like, holy hell. So now it just feels like we're roommates because you know what I'm saying, like it's to the point where you don't want to change, and I guess I don't know stubbornness. So I call myself married single mom because I do my part, you know what I'm saying, and he doesn't. I'm alone most of the time, and I think else. Here I am. I knew that was gonna happen. I was gonna talk so much that I picked up on a little bit, but I never said I was cleaning at all. But let's take a look at what I did. So I don't feel like touching this because that's not my mess, but I'll get to it when I get to it. I put everything there. I picked up off the floor where everything was at. It's not perfect by all any means. I gotta get to this. And I'm still waiting for the clothes to dry. Wash. So I can take a shower after I do that and go to sleep. Good night, goodbye. I love you so much for watching and thank you for being so supportive. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Good night.